under God, with liberty and justice for all.
It is June 24th, 7 p.m., and this is a regular meeting of Grand Traverse County Road Commission. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Underwood?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Gilman?
Yes.
Lehman?
Here.
Mauser?
Here. Okay, I guess we need approval of the agenda, and we do have a blue sheet, so whoever makes that motion, I guess, will approve that.
I'll make that motion. Including blue.
There's just one blue sheet, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now, yep.
I think I got two emails, but
Yes.
one blue sheet. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and second, Underwood, to approve the agenda. Any discussion or other modifications or changes? Hearing none, I guess. Yeah, we do that.
We do. Yes.
Okay, so we can do this on a voice vote,
Yes.
even though we're still broadcasting. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. That'll bring us to our first public comment. Clerk, would read the rules, please. Or no, conflict of interest, sorry. I'm getting one ahead of myself. Does anybody have a conflict of interest they would like to make known? Hearing none. Number 5 is public comment. Could you read the rules, please?
Any person may make an advanced appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comment. Please state his or her name and address. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. The board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda.
Okay, having heard the rules, is there a member of the public who would wish to make a comment at this time? Anyone online? Oh, we don't, okay, we're not taking comments? Okay, we talked about that. Okay. Seeing no one rise to make public comment. Okay, we have item 6, action items. A, appointments. Our 7:05 appointment is here.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Joe Quant, and as you know, I represent the Mission Hills Homeowners Association. Would first of all like to thank you for the opportunity to address the Commission tonight. The Homeowners Association continues to be concerned about the status of Bluff Road. As you know from our last appearance here, actually several appearances that we've made in front of the Commission. We just wanted to bring you up to speed on a couple of things. Number one, we've had the opportunity to get some bids from contractors, and we're looking at going forward, or we're trying to move forward with an effort to do a couple of things there, both to armor the shoreline and then also to look at the possibility of doing something that would alleviate or further address the issues with respect to the Homeowners Association property that is, as you know, adjacent to the road. We don't want to go forward with that until we have really a clear understanding of what the Road Commission's plan is. We just want to make sure that we're coordinating efforts, coordinating resources, so that we don't duplicate efforts and cause an unnecessary work that has to be redone based upon whatever GEI comes up with. So just wanted to make you aware of that. We're also wondering whether or not there's possibly some other option for ditching or drainage that can be done that would alleviate some of the groundwater pressure that's in the area. I think that as you saw the last GEI report, because of the conditions that exist, subsurface conditions that exist on the south end of where the road is closed, that there might be a possibility of doing some improvements that essentially would not have to be duplicated. Maybe some ditching, having an infiltration gallery in that area that would collect groundwater, and then possibly doing a cross culvert that would discharge that collected water on the other side so that you can alleviate some of the hydrostatic groundwater pressure that exists in that area. We're just saying that that's something that might make sense for everybody to take a look at as a interim measure while we're working through the broader issues with respect to Bluff Road. We are also, I think, as you know, communicating with the township. The Peninsula Township has continued to reinforce with us their concerns with respect to the growth that's happening on the east side of the peninsula and the status of Bluff Road, because that is I had heard some traffic counts thrown out saying 200 cars a day. I think that the folks in the township think that that's probably understated, but nonetheless, that is a significant issue of north-south traffic communication in that area, and as there's additional growth on the east side of the peninsula, that will continue to be a concern, and especially for timeliness of emergency services as well. So just wanted to make sure that that's on the radar if it is not already. And then last but not least, we're a little concerned after the last meeting of the Road Commission. There was a public statement that was made in the media that this was going to be a $3.5 million fix. I have not seen anything, nor has anybody else seen anything that puts a $3.5 million price tag on this. And I would, caution us all to not make public statements that right now appear to be factually unsupported, because it just makes it more difficult to, once we do have accurate information, to make sure that that's communicated in a succinct and cohesive manner. We look forward to working with the Road Commission on a permanent resolution for Bluff Road. We understand that either a report or a letter of some sort was received by GEI recently, and that there are some things to take a look at there, and we would like the opportunity to sit down and talk with management when that's appropriate after they've had an opportunity to fully digest the information in that report. We still want a collaborative solution. We're here to help you solve a problem, not make a problem worse. So just wanted to make sure that that's out there, but we would appreciate that if there's going to be statements made in the press that we make sure that they're factually supportable, that they're actually that they help inform the public, rather than create inflammation in the public as far as social inertia is concerned. So be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, I just, yeah. This inertia, government is inertia. I mean, we've committed already a couple of tens of thousands of dollars at least to further engineering. How much?
37.
37. So we tens of thousands anyhow. And we are, of course, waiting to get more information from that expenditure. As far as the ditching, I agree with you. I think on the Mission Hills side of things, I think we should be ditching and we should be running water down and through a culvert somewhere if at all possible. I am glad to hear that the township is concerned, because when they're concerned, maybe that means that they're willing to put some money into it, as it is part of their responsibility, particularly if they're concerned about growth in their township. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one of those things where sometimes they don't step up to the plate when necessary. And I think we have to, because we can only move so fast. We have to actually look at it and make sure that when we do fix it, it is done right, and then it doesn't cost $3.5 million. Maybe it costs a little less, maybe it costs more, or we find out at least what the damage is going to be prior to getting there. Now, if you guys are, you say you're having contractors that are going to be doing some shore work to stabilize the shoreline, or?
Well, the association's obtained bids and has been in communications with contractors, and they're like, okay, well, we're busy. When do you want to do this? And we've held off on, implementing something because we're waiting to see what's going to happen with the rest of the road. We're not asking the road commission to fix our problem on our shoreline.
Understood. And that was the other thing too, is that our what we've seen from the last engineer's report that we saw is that it has more to do with the water underneath the road than it has to do with the water approaching the road. That's been kind of, pushing it out from under the road. So the ditching thing, I think, is definitely something that needs to be handled, and maybe that somewhat resolves an issue and makes it more stable. But I think that is something that maybe if there's a way that we can do that, even as a short-term test to see how much water we can drain out of that hill, I don't know. I mean, is it, if the engineers say that we can do that, maybe that's something that we do.
Yeah, that's all we were suggesting, is that we look at whether or not there's something else that can be done in the interim, that we don't lose more road.
Right.
And don't lose more, area. And if there's something that makes sense, like a cross culvert or something like that now, then, that may be an interim remedy that can be incorporated into the final remedy. We're just saying we might want to have that part of the GEI dialogue to see whether or not they feel that is supportable from.
And even a culvert's going to cost money. I mean, stay around for the rest of the show. We've got an expense coming up that's it wasn't planned, but it's expensive.
Yeah, no, I get that. And everything is a constant demand for resources that are always, to some extent scarce. And we will certainly carry your message to the township, about this needing to be a collaborative solution that's going to probably require the participation of more than one funding source. Not sure how they'll react to that, but
maybe they can write grants. Who knows?
Well, there's actually, I think there's a fair amount of public resource money available as a result of the coronavirus relief package, and they're making resources to more than one governmental entity to try to resolve this. So we just want to keep I guess, social inertia is going to be the watchword, or the watch term of the day, is try to keep the process moving forward. We just want to be a productive part of the team to find a resolution. So thank you again.
Anybody else got a question, comment? Not quite 7:15, but we have a 7:15 appointment. I don't know that there's any prohibition against going 2 or 3 minutes early.
I think last time we held Joe, but
Thank you, commissioners, for taking the time to let me speak tonight a little bit. My name is Ron Lemcool. I'm the new supervisor at Long Lake Township. And, as you all know, we're in the process of building a fire station. And it's been quite an undertaking for our township. But I wanted to go over a couple things, and I appreciate Wayne's and Ron's input and what they've been working with us. And I'm coming to you guys to appeal a couple things. But back in February of 2020, Karen Rosa, past supervisor since retired, and the fire chief and police met with the engineers. And basically what we're trying to do is figure out how to have our driveway and come out on the road. And at that time, they accepted the plan, which was the existing, I'm going to call it passing lane because I'm learning all this stuff, but it's if you want to make a left-hand turn into Doc's Landing, there's the passing lane goes on the right side or the north side of the road. But that was kind of agreed on, and then Fleece moved forward to go with our bond and move forward with that, and got our bond and got everything moving forward. And since then, I know that Fleece went back and met with Wayne and Ron, and they determined that we needed to have a center turn lane there. And we're struggling with that decision. And I know that Wayne had said that if we had come to them just before we put the bid out for the bonding, we might have learned that, but I think they based it all on that. So this is all new to me. So I get to be the one in front of you guys to ask the questions. But what we're struggling with is that the fire station, at first the discussion was more of a community center, but at the fire station, it's going to have probably 5 or 6 people in it. So as they come out of there, they're 24-hour shifts, and then we'll have the chief will be there, and the EMS director, and that's why we're understand this big turn lane that's off the Dodge Landing. And I know that when they put Dodge Landing in, it was they asked us to put the landing in because they have a lot of homes back there. And with ours, and then you compare it to Meadow Lake, that's got 108 lots, it's got 150 foot long. Lane, and that's about a 530 trips a day for off of that one. And then you have Silver Lake School that just put a 4-foot paved shoulder at 70 feet, which I'm sure have a lot more that comes out of our station. And then Timbers, there's about 600 foot, but that's got a center turn lane, but it's on a hidden hill. And North Long is just this big, long stretch. And so the big thing is we didn't budget for this. And so that's probably gonna come out of our funds to try and take care of this. And so basically what I'm asking tonight is if you allow us to go back to the original design, that's what we're asking for. And we know that safety is really key out there. We got a lot of intersections out in that area that have a lot of issues. And then, or, if there's a way, if we have to maintain it, if the county commission has any way of putting any money in to help us do that road. And that passing lane.
Where's this stretch again?
North Long and Dots Landing.
Knots Landing?
Dots.
Dots. It's kind of right next to.
Right next to Bridlewood on the north.
Yeah, where the old Brayton and Sons.
Yeah. Okay, is that where it's at? Is the old Brayton and Sons?
Yeah, it's right across the street from it.
Okay.
So one of the proposals is almost, it's a taper lane. And Wayne, if I get this messed up a little bit, you can help me out with it. So and what we're looking at is that one of the suggestions, it's almost 1,200 feet of tapered lane that's out there with that lane. And again, this is just a fire station. If it was just a house with 5 adults living in it, we would require it. And I understand we have the fire trucks going in and out of there, but it's a straight road that's pretty clear. And I know that recently there was an accident there with a young gentleman that was passing 3 cars and recently passed away. So we get that. But that could happen. And we got the same intersection problem at North Long and Straight Road. That's probably worse with Noomers and Fresh Coast and all that. That's had a couple deaths there in a while. But this is basically a straight way. And that's what we're just trying to figure out how we go back to that original design. As I've been told, this could be in excess of $150,000 plus, and it's just not in the budget.
Want to hear from Wayne?
Yeah, please.
You're up, Wayne.
Okay, so we met with Mr. Fleiss, Jerry Fleiss, formerly with Fleets and Vandenbrink. Came in, kind of had a sketch layout of what they were looking at in the parcel some time ago there. And at that point in time, the parcel or the sketch didn't indicate across from, and I'm going to call it Brayton Lane because that's what's on maps. Didn't show that there was a bypass lane that was in existence at that location. But we had talked and we had looked at, potential locations along this parcel that the township was looking at for putting in the fire barn. And because of the offset distances, we recommended that the one place that they really want to put this is going to be directly across from Brayton Lane, because otherwise you don't have the necessary offset distances from there. So we had discussions on that and off they went. We didn't have that wasn't an official conceptual review. That was just kind of meeting with them and kind of getting them on the starting path. They never came back. Fleets of Vandenbrink never came back with any kind of a conceptual review. That is the normal process. Never came back with any preliminary plans. The next thing that we were aware of was there was actual physical construction going on the site. We did verify at that time, and we hadn't issued a permit. So we did verify at that time that they were gaining access to the parcel through the existing farm residential driveway there. And so that was no impact to us. But we did indicate that there had not been a permit issued there, and we were informed that the contractor would be required to come to us with and obtain the permit. So eventually we did get a set of plans from them, and what we saw there was at that point in time indicated that there was a bypass lane. Now there are no standards for permitting a commercial driveway entrance on a bypass lane. And so that's the issue that we have. We're not requiring a center left turn lane based on any kind of traffic counts of going in and out of there. What we're indicating is that there are not standards for a commercial driveway off a bypass lane. This becomes a safety issue. So if you're traveling eastbound and you're going to turn into the fire barn entrance, and it's built on that bypass lane, and you have a car driving westbound that is going to turn into Brayton Lane, and then you have a secondary vehicle traveling westbound behind the first vehicle, that vehicle can very easily be hidden. And when they then do a dive around to use the bypass lane, you could have serious high-speed right angle crashes. So from our perspective, we acknowledge that, no, there's not enough traffic counts there to warrant a center left turn lane. But what we have is the public has enjoyed, and there's been that investment into that bypass lane, that now we want to have a commercial driveway put in on that north side. In order to accommodate that, we need to shift things around such that basically the westbound through lane becomes the center left turn lane, and the bypass lane becomes the through lane. To do that, you need to have then the appropriate tapers and lengths on that. And so that's what the conversation has been, is that in order to accomplish this, it needs to be redeveloped and turned into a center left turn lane, so that then you have a dedicated center left turn lane with refuge for those left turn movements.
Would it be possible, engineering wise, to instead on the westbound route where the bypass lane comes out, just put a stop and then the driveway? I mean, I understand. I mean, it maybe if you could move the driveway back to the west a little bit, instead of being, you say it right now, it's right across from Brayton Lane. I mean, if you moved it offset and just ended, would that be possible?
For shifting of the driveway?
Yeah.
So shifting of the driveway, there's not enough frontage to shift it away from and have it offset from Brayton Lane,
Right.
and still within the parcel that they're looking to.
Which is the west far enough.
Correct. That's the problem. Plus, it's also, one of the things we looked at was it gives that quick access to the road versus, they're gonna come right straight out of the fire station, right to that point, instead of trying to move
Right.
around.
Well, that bypass lane there, and I know right what you're talking about, Wayne, because the other night I was going home and the guy wants to turn in front of me, and he's a couple of cars ahead of me. And of course, the guy behind him decides he's going to go around him, even though it's not a bypass lane, it's paved shoulder and that. And sure enough, the other guy wants to turn in front of him. And that's exactly the scenario that you just said. And that does happen. That bypass lane would have to go away if you were, I mean, you couldn't have that bypass lane there and not have accidents. I mean, they're going to happen.
Yeah.
And that was the guy was breaking the law going around on the white line to start with, but it would have been that bypass lane, it'd been the same thing. That guy going to turn in front of him and bam, so, short of, like you said, put a bypass lane on the other side and then put your turn lane in the middle.
I think the problem with the other side is that I don't think Brayton Lane meets the road commission standards today. When it was built, it probably did,
Right.
but I don't think it meets it today.
Correct. So there was two scenarios that were being proposed. One would be to readjust the intersection and build a center left turn lane symmetrical about the existing center line. To do that, now you're pushing to the south, and now you get into having to reconstruct Brayton Lane entrance. And of course, then once you get into that, then you have to build it up to today's standards.
Mm-hmm.
The other is to do the center left turn lane and convert all that by just shifting everything to the north. That does extend your tapers out to some 605 feet.
Each side, yeah.
on either side of that because of you have, because you're shifting a lane instead of just 5.5 feet, you're shifting, you're shifting that through traffic 11 feet. So yeah, the tapers wind up running out there because you're pushing everything off just to one side.
That's about 400 feet that that the fire department property is.
Something like that.
Right. And one of the desires, if I'm correct, was that when the property was sold to the township for that the property owner that sold that acreage in the future would perhaps plan on developing their property. And in order to be able to do that, they would need a public road coming in there. So if it were possible to shift the driveway further to the west, it would then conflict with a private drive there later on there. So that forces them kind of back to coming out across from Brayton Lane.
Anybody else? What questions, comments?
What's the traffic up Brayton Lane? I mean, clearly, as Wayne's pointed out, I mean, people have enjoyed the bypass.
I think there's about 15 homes back there, and they're big lots.
So 25 parcels.
Right. And then there's the commercial business back there as well.
Yeah, that's got the cars on there.
Right. And I believe that probably historically wise was the reason why
They
a
got the bump
bypass
out,
lane was required to be put in at that time.
What's the cost of putting that third lane in and bumping it to the south level?
They said in excess of 150,000. And our part is that right now we're also dealing with consumers who wants to bring 3-phase down there instead of letting us have 1 phase. And so they're going to bring that through 18 parcels starting at the new elementary school. And they have no idea what that's going to cost us yet. They said more than $1 less.
So that's not our problem.
So I know that's where we're trying to do, is trying to put all this together, and the building being over budget, which isn't your job, but we're just trying to figure this part out.
Welcome to building a fire department.
And diverting all the westbound traffic is the other into the north side of the road. Is that your proposal?
No, we'd like to keep it the same way as the original proposal is what we'd like to do.
Take your chances.
Yeah. Well, that ain't like.
We have the first responders right there, though.
We'll have a paramedic.
Well, it's,
Talk about that, but I said,
well, I see 2 solutions is number 1, like you said, the turn lane. Number 2, the bypass lane would have to go away. I mean,
That's the other solution.
that's the other solution. And not to say that it's the right solution because of the need for people to go around, but I mean, you got 2 possibilities there. Because it's got to be one or the other as far as what I've heard here. It's going to be one or the other.
well, how many vehicles are turning there?
Well, there's only into the fire station.
Yeah, I mean, what's the
It's
traffic we're doing here?
You and
the fire station.
But you have
But it's
6 people.
some of the houses.
What's happening?
Commercial.
So you're 15 plus the commercial stuff. So
But if you have a lot of eastbound traffic,
Yeah.
somebody wants to turn left in the morning, you're gonna stop all the westbound.
That's a bad stretch of road through there as far as traffic.
Way too heavily trafficked.
And you're probably, I mean, if you're talking anywhere from 200 to 300 people turning in a day in that area, if you've got a commercial something going on back in there especially. And so they're gonna be coming out potentially during, the morning rush and coming back towards the evening rush as they're done with their jobs. So you're gonna have a fairly decent traffic. I mean, we have a radar counter, we could get a count if need be.
It sounds like the real danger though is not in the people turning left, but in the commuter traffic going back and forth in a hurry to try to get around those, albeit minimal number of vehicles making those turns.
There's gonna be no brakes there, and that's gonna back up.
About reducing the speed limit sooner because it drops to 45. I know who has to do all that, so.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, that would reduce your taper lengths down, obviously, because your taper lengths are based on your offset and your speed. But again, yeah, we don't have jurisdiction on
Right.
speed limits.
Lights. Not for that.
Sounds like there's no real good solution here. Either we say, yeah, we're gonna throw safety and caution to the wind and hope nothing bad happens. Or we say, too bad, you're gonna have to spend a bunch of money. No, is there a middle ground here?
I mean, another shared cost. I mean, you may not have this budgeted for this department, for this particular department, but you maybe we can work for a shared cost. I mean, obviously, our responsibility is safety. The fire department's going in. So one way or the other, we have to address it.
Now, I think another thing, slightly off topic, we have to address is, this has happened before where somebody comes in and has a casual, non-binding, I'll say, conversation with engineering to come up with something based on
It's never happened before.
thumbnail. And then all of a sudden, they're digging and moving dirt into something entirely different. It's occurred before, and maybe we need to come up with a procedure, I guess, with engineering where if anybody walks in the door and says, hey, how about this? They sit down and get some sort of letter of understanding that they sign that says, hey, this is conceptual and non-binding, and you need to get up spinal drawings before you actually start digging, and then decide you have to come back and get a driveway permit after the fact. So this is a situation that should not be happening, either to the township or to us. But that is, and
How did you come up with the number? Who gave you the number?
That was what Felice Vanderbrink put out there. Based on cutting it and asphalting it and striping it.
are we amenable to the idea of some cost sharing here to share the burden?
Much rather do that than throw safety caution.
Yes. I think so. Okay. So I
It
guess.
is a highly trafficked, I mean, there's a lot of, you guys, I mean, Long Lake Road, I can't even believe, and it's fast too. I mean, it's 55 along there, isn't it?
Well, say just before the fire station.
Yeah.
And that was one of the reasons we didn't put the fire station down there was because it was on a curve.
I mean, there's a lot, I mean, Long Lake Road already is problematic. And to throw safety to the wind because of the cost to say, or do something that's only gonna make it worse, doesn't seem like two good options, I guess. So, if we're amenable to looking at some cost sharing here, I guess we need to get down to the brass tacks on what that might be.
Plan and a bid,
Yeah, exactly.
plan and a bid, and then we can.
Yeah, plan and a bid, not an engineer's estimate.
Right? Unless it's our engineer.
Thank you for that.
So I guess our directive here at this point is for Wayne and our staff to look at it a little bit harder and come up with some numbers that maybe we can feel comfortable with. And then come up with a cost sharing, whatever that might be percentage wise. And then move forward with the most reasonable, safest solution. Is that kind of where we think we're at?
Yeah. Works for us.
That worked for you? It should work for everybody, I would think.
And
Thank you.
then, like I say, we'll have to maybe have a discussion on how we treat
Yeah, and
people coming in and having casual conversations about conceptual plans that later on turn to be something that they're not.
Well, people are instructed that this is not a review. The problem is you have a lot of things that happen. And if it comes down to it, then we should probably be saying, okay, if you're coming in, we're going to charge you the review fee up front,
Right.
and we're gonna go into detail up front.
Bring us some review quality drawings and we'll go through the review. We're not gonna give you the luxury or the option or the nice guy.
We're not gonna have chat time with our engineers.
right.
They're already have too much work.
Right.
Because
That's reasonable.
well, you see, this is the outcome of that, and like I said, and I'm sure we've been through this before.
We have.
Okay, so that's where we're at, I guess, it's partially back in Wayne's court, and, so get back to this as quickly as you can, and we'll try to get it resolved as quickly, because I assume there's some element
To call
of
me tomorrow and we'll move forward.
Bill's back here doing this.
But then this could end up becoming something, if we have to do it, then there could be a special. To get approval,
No, no,
because I don't think they're, it's gotta be something that's
Well, it's gotta
moving quickly.
They don't want to wait 2-3 months.
Right.
Don't have a
What we
luxury.
gotta do, and I'm sure what they wanna do is safety. Hopefully that's
what's
all.
okay.
It's gotta be safe.
Good. All right, thank you, Commissioners, for your time.
To the culvert that goes into the bay, which is a bunch of.
That would take us to item B, the consent calendar.
The consent calendar is used to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together without discussion. Request by any person present to remove any item from the consent calendar for full discussion, as agenda items are automatically respected. The action noted in parentheses for all items remaining on the consent calendar are approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. The manager recommends the following be adopted. 1, minutes. 2, payroll. 3, accounts payable. 4, financial reports. 5, reports in communications, and 6, F-51 financial report for 2020.
Is there anything in the consent calendar any commissioner would like to see removed? Any member of the public? Anybody? Anywhere? Hearing none, I guess we need a motion.
Motion we adopt the consent calendar.
Or
We have motion and support. Any other discussion? We have a roll call, please.
Brown,
yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Neiman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Melter.
Yes. Hey, zipping right past item C, since there are no items removed. It gets us to one of the highlights of the evening, the culvert replacement on Silver Lake Road.
Welcome back to Silver Lake.
Welcome back.
One end to the other. Same story, different locations. And unfortunately, I think is what we're finding is just, we're coming into a lot of age culverts around the county. And understanding that we have a lot of cedar swamps, they're very harsh, very acidic, and the metal culverts just don't last as long as they do in pristine sandy Clearwater areas. This particular culvert has developed a hole in it and has been sucking material down into it. It is a 24-inch crossroad culvert on Silver Lake Road. There is approximately 12 foot of fill in the area, so it is it's expensive to get down to it. It's just unfortunate that in the past, we did not have the resources when we put in culverts in these deep areas or where we're draining cedar swamps and things of that nature, that we couldn't go with a more durable material. But it is what it is, and here we are. We are estimating, and we did get Eagle to come in and take a look at this. And we are able to, and we feel confident that we can replace this culvert with the potential of upsizing of one size and be able to drain that and not have any further issues. We are in an area though where it is also an extremely steep, approximately a one-on-one. And like I say, we're at about 12 feet of height there, that should a vehicle go off the shoulder there, it will be a definite rollover area. So our recommendation is, and we're looking and estimating about $150,000 that would take care of both a culvert, replacing it with a concrete material, appropriate size, upsizing by one, as well as then providing slope flattening to take care of the potential hazards there of any vehicles getting off on the side of the road.
I know we did a survey of culverts a while back. Was this on our survey? I mean, it was a known culvert. We knew it was there. So it's not a total surprise. The failure, the timing of the failure was a surprise, but the fact that there's culvert there was not.
And how old is it? How old do you think it is?
I think, I don't have that age on there. We didn't have, I guess in our system, we didn't document well of that. By looking at the ends, one end was quite squashed, so it appears that probably this vehicle did go down there at one point in time and squash the one end. The other end, there's fiber optic right there, laying right there. But you know, culvert probably appears to be in that 15 to 20 year, which in normal conditions would be just fine. But again, when you're draining swamps, they become very acidic. It does attack. It has a tendency of attacking the joints and the bands. Whether that is exactly what has failed in there or not, we don't know. The failure is actually kind of coming up, and it's right at the edge of the through travel lane.
So 20 years ago, I seem to remember when they rebuilt the road, and that would have been that, I guess, and when it was,
Most likely.
yeah. And they used the corrugated, not a concrete culvert.
Correct.
And we would be replacing with a concrete culvert?
Correct.
Okay.
Our practice now is that anytime that we have a hard surface road, is we are looking for very long-term amenities of that road, and that being concrete or you know, structural steels or things that are you know, has inert material surrounding any kind of a metal.
You get a CMP pipe, like I said, at the joints, it could be some guy working some, you know, guy at the time 20 years ago, making $3 an hour, ran over it or beat it up or scratched it or damaged it, that it failed, or it could just be the nature of the beast.
And we're playing beaver right now, right? I mean, we pretty much poured stuff down into the culvert so it doesn't collapse.
Yep, and throwing some coal patch on it. A couple days later, swing back through there, throw some more coal patch on it.
I guess we're just lucky that there isn't a huge flow of water going through.
Right. Yeah, right. It's a consistent smaller trickle, but it did, when it did show up, it was evident once you went downstream, the piles and of the gravel and it sucked out.
I mean, it sounds like this is another one of those no-win situations where 20 years ago, the best decisions were not made, and that we're faced with rectifying them now. And we really don't have any choice. It's not like we are or aren't going to fix it. Right?
So you have put this out for any bids or anything?
No, not at this point.
So this
We were just at
in-house estimate.
the beginning of this week, we were able to have Eagle in, and we're confident. We have a high level of confidence with this estimate price here, based on our visit out there on Monday with Eagle.
Do you have enough right away to flatten that slope?
We can get it out there, and if it looks like we're going to exceed that, we will work with the adjoining property owners.
Do we need a resolution on this? I guess we do.
We're asking for an approval, yes, because we want to get the pipe ordered, because we don't know how long it's gonna take them to get the pipe to us.
Yeah.
Some pipes are taking 5 to 6 weeks according to the engineers, so we don't want to wait till September or November.
I guess I don't see where we have much choice.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, we can talk about it, feel bad about it.
Right, that
And we'll come back,
choice isn't one of them.
right, we'll come back after it's actually, you know, ready to go to tell you, or that it's done, however it falls within the meetings, but we wanted to get approval now.
So we're gonna supply the pipe to the contractor, or we're gonna have the contractor, and we're gonna put this out for bids and let them do it?
At this time, it's probably, in order to expedite this, probably quicker for us to start to contact our suppliers and find out what they have available. On that work, because we
Get the materials locked down and
we can tell them how, what kind of length we need and find out what they have, and then determine from the end areas of that what's comparable to a 24-inch or larger, and be in order for us to satisfy Eagle on that, and then be able to go from there.
Okay, do I hear,
Well, I'll make a motion that we proceed with security, finding out about the pipe and that and moving forward with this.
A second.
we have motion and support. I think probably no further discussion is necessary. Why don't you go ahead and call the roll, I guess.
Gilman,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Wilder.
Yes. Okay, item E, construction engineering services, 4 Mile Hammond Road roundabout.
So this one come right straight out of left field. We had anticipated doing the construction engineering with our resources and our staff. Unfortunately, we lost a member of our staff. He's taken another position up north, a little closer to home to be able to take care of his aging parents. So with that, we've had to kind of reassess in order for us to get the rest of our work done for this season, prepare also for next season. We needed to reevaluate, and so our best options at that point in time, we decided was to go to our pre-approved consultant firms and seek construction engineering services. This is happening so fast. So we've got them out there working right now on a time and materials. This proposal is set up on a time and materials as well. And they are, they would be doing the work out there as needed. This number is based on a full schedule that is, that was in the original proposal of all the way through the end of September. Currently, right now, I'm happy to say they're already ahead of schedule out there onto it. But this proposal here would does take care of the surveying, takes care of the construction inspection, the engineering of that, the project records, as well as then the necessary testing. Those items, testing items, are something that we don't do in-house. We utilize a consultant firm for that as usual. In this particular case, they are wrapped into here.
Any questions for Wayne?
I have 2 questions. Why can't we clone Wayne? Because that would be much preferred. And then the second thing is, so is all this ours, or is the East Bay have their share of the contract, is their share of the engineering?
East Bay's utility work is being addressed with their consultant firm, Wade Trim. So Wade Trim is out there. They are taking care of the removals, the utilities going in the ground all the way back up to and including temporary pavement where necessary, but bringing it all the way back up to a gravel grade for sand subbase.
This is for the road portion.
This is for
this is basically to replace our in-house absence
yes, yeah.
cost. I mean,
What's the premium?
what's the premium yet?
So on page,
Because I saw their hourly, I just couldn't nail down. I was looking through it.
on page 3, under the last paragraph, the compensation, at the high end, and they're estimating this here at the high end, all the way with a complete schedule would be approximate fee of $300,000. This is being based on and going to be paid for though as a time and material, so it's not a lump sum. So as they proceed through, we get a copy of the IDRs, and so the time is documented through there on that process.
But it's still 300,000. Was some of that cost we would have been bearing anyway?
Yes, we would have been bearing all that cost with multiple inspectors, surveyors in-house, as well as then.
But the little extra, I guess, is what we're trying to nail down. The little extra for not having our extra engineer.
If he wouldn't have left and if we were doing it the normal way that we would normally do it, approximately what is that compared to the possibility of the 300,000? Well, yeah, you'd have to take testing out. because we
Testing would have to
we
come out because
subcontract
guys
that
would have
over.
been doing it.
We don't do that anyway, but as far as what our costs would be, what's the
Well,
premium?
this is including everything to get through to final as-built quality,
Yes.
everything. So,
Right.
I mean, you're talking probably, what, 6 months from now where we would be done with it or thereabouts, and you're talking about having us 2 surveyors. I mean, I don't know what our rates are compared to theirs, but it is gonna be a premium. We didn't.
An extra 60,000, an extra 50,000,
Extra 100, I mean,
200.
roughly.
I would roughly say somewhere in that probably that 50 to 60,000 by the time that we're looking at 2 surveyors.
Because I think we're talking specific tasks. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the problem is it's an hour.
we have, I mean, here we are again. We don't really have much of a choice. We're in the middle of a project.
Oh, no.
And
Kind of out there already.
OHM is pre-approved. You know, we know their rates. We've used them before.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing we say, gosh,
Here we go.
shucks, if Dad wouldn't have got sick.
Move to approve whatever the heck we have to approve. I mean, you know, let's just,
We are working with them closely. I got to spend
if we can't do as much as we can.
Hopefully it'll be 275 or 250 or.
Right. And as I say, they're, right now, Team Elmer's is ahead of schedule. And so if they maintain that.
Yeah, if they stay.
Tell them this
if
Christmas.
They stay ahead of
This is all gone
schedule,
now, these moved, right?
then their hourlies go down
Fewer
because
hours.
their billable hours
Yeah.
go down.
Right.
The others are ahead.
All right.
I mean, your surveying costs, it costs the same to put the stakes out there, whether Elmer's is a month ahead or
Right.
10 minutes behind. I mean, stakes are stakes and unless they run them.
But
over,
daily
yeah,
daily testing and that for densities and that type of stuff gets condensed down the faster they're going.
It gets condensed down, your project engineering and your inspectors hours are condensed down.
All right, I don't know, do we need a motion on this, a resolution or?
I make over the motion to approve the already happening action.
But because it's over our authority.
We have to, basically, we're approving the.
The expenditure for outside services.
I'm saying we accept OHM. Okay, motion to that effect.
Support.
Well, who is the motionee? Okay. Support. Okay. Any-
Keep up with us, Bill.
I'm sorry. Okay, so I have motion to support. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I guess this sum of money and so forth, we've got no need to roll call.
I think we're still okay too, because Bill hasn't broken out in a cold sweat.
That's the Alfred E. Newman School of Accounting.
Lehman,
He's thinking.
That was a no.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Mausers.
Yes.
The begrudging
That was
yes.
a reluctant yes, because we seem to get, and I guess I don't want to sound. Gosh, there seems to be a lot of this going around lately. East-west corridor update. And still the man.
I'm still here. So, yes, so we've had, since our last board meeting, we've had OHM and we've met with our local agency group members. And we're now in the process of preparing for our first public meeting. That public meeting, I believe you're aware of, is going to be on July 14th, located at the Networks Northwest conference room. they are in the point right now, kind of working on those final evaluations and alternatives. At the first public meeting, we will be presenting to the public the draft purpose and need, and then to solicit and get opportunity for public comment from them. We'll also be presenting the alternative alignments and the offer again for public comment. We'll evaluate the public comments for the merit and refine the alternatives and the purpose and need as appropriate. And then to finalize the alternatives and then begin that process to narrow that focus down potentially to one or possibly two recommended alternatives. I do, and the schedule hasn't changed any on there, but we do not want to note that that while the schedule here is, at this point in time is unchanged, that with that first public meeting occurring a little bit later than what we had anticipated, that the schedule in the future may wind up changing a little bit on there. So that is, I'll be the first one out here to say it. That's in no way a fault of OHM or that team. We did have multiple more go-arounds and reiterations with some state and federal partners out there or interest on that. But it was well worth it, and we believe that we have them on board now and with that understanding. So now is that time that now we've got all those comments in there, we can go with the public meeting. If need be, or if you have any desire, we do have OHM team leader, Mr. Bill Zepp. He is on Zoom and can join us if you have any questions for him, or if you've got questions for Brad or I.
Commissioners. As long as we're staying close to the schedule, it's a couple days off, it's not too bad.
I guess I'm going to go back and touch on something that became kind of a hot button item last time as far as who's deciding what. And in some cases, it matters semantics. In some cases, it was interpretation. I guess is my interpretation, I guess, is what we're looking at from our consultants is facts and figures and pros and cons. And to use the word recommendations, I don't know that we're looking for a recommendation from anybody on anything other than we're looking for facts, figures, pros, cons brought to this board, and we'll make the recommendations. Is that an understanding?
I think one of the other things was that it seemed that our consultants were talking about the recommendations even prior to us receiving the recommendations.
And that became a bit of a hot topic. I didn't get quite caught up in the furor of that, but I understand. So I guess we need to be mindful of what's being said, whether it's semantics or reality is in effect. In the comments, some people made, well, how come we're paying a bunch of high price outsiders to tell us what to do? We're not. So I guess I would caution that words matter. Facts, figures, realities, and bring it here because ultimately this is where the buck stops. Anybody have a different concept of what it is we're looking for than that? So I guess the cautionary tale would be let's make sure what we say is correct and not to be misconstrued.
If I may.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I would just want to emphasize that the focus PEL, the process of the focus PEL is to receive the public input.
Right.
And so that is what any recommendations kind of coming from the OHM team is based on and voicing that overall public opinion, the stakeholders on it. And correct. It then comes to this board for determination.
Sort of, yeah.
Well, I think what Bill was saying was the last time it went out to the media as if it was gospel and we hadn't heard it. And unfortunately, I would hope that we would be briefed before that happens.
And that's where we're with our meetings, and we've got Commissioner Mauser is involved on this end. And so as we go through these steps, we're keeping Bill in that communication, along with Brad and I. We're going these exercises and making sure that we are keeping you up to date on at these monthly meetings.
So with all these meetings being virtual, it's, in my mind, it's been rather, we've gone through the steps and we've processed. But anyway, I guess to be even more clear, I guess is what, I guess they're gonna come through and make recommendations, but I guess is what I don't want to see is they come up and say, okay, here's four possible routes. We recommend you take this one. No, I just want to see the 4 routes, the pluses, the minus, the pros, the cons, the feedback, what the public's been saying about how they feel about each one and so forth. But I want them to remain entirely neutral on which route should be selected, I guess.
I am a little optimistic about this public meeting though.
Well, yeah,
Especially given all of the routes being canceled literally around
Right
the
now.
area. I mean, you know, when Parsons is closed, South Airport was crazy. It was the nuttiest thing. That and 8th Street, in fact, 8th Street to Munson, it was like a parking lot at times. And I think people will appreciate, you know, the possibility of an alternative, you know, one that I support anyway, which is an alternative route that cuts through and saves a few miles of travel.
I think legitimately years ago, there was the, you know, no bridge, no change, no how, nowhere, never. It seemed to have a strong sway in the community, and I don't think that's there anymore. I think most people, sensible people, have come to the conclusion that, yeah, we got to do something. We need to do something. And then as long as it's done sensibly and reasonably and with plenty of thought and it's the most equitable, reasonable solution, I agree on that, of course, then we'll be, you know, reasonably okay. So, but, you know, I just want to make sure that ultimately there are no false hopes or false flags raised and that we don't look upon as we're passing the buck and saying, well, we didn't decide that. Those guys over there decide, because ultimately we are going to decide. And we might as well then be the ones who aren't deciding. And I don't want to, you know, and it was a small firestorm last time, but we'd rather not have any matches or gas cans. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Item G, the retirement system annual report, form 5572.
Yeah, this is just informational. Submitted the retirement. We're 94% funded on our pension and 0% on the OPEB because we pay as you go. We just do a stipend that doesn't have healthcare. So something we have to file by June 30th every year. We're going to get a notice at some point that we're underfunded on the OPEB. So we will submit a waiver application at that time, which will require board action. So
We're not ready to do that right now.
nothing, no. This is something we have to add electronically, send it to you. We posted it to our website to meet the requirements that we have at this point. So
Saying we got a plan.
We do. Darn good. Okay, so that was just really discussion and an update, so no board action required. Oh, here's a fun one. H, Paradise property purchase. I noticed you don't say which Paradise property.
I have spoke again with the folks from Paradise Township, and they are prepared in their July meeting, if we are still pursuing it, to go through and give us the property for a buck. So assuming,
We gotta wait till July.
like, it's, yeah.
I mean, it's
But it's
couple, 3 weeks.
2 weeks away,
Oh
right?
gosh, I mean, 6 months, what's 2 more weeks?
Yeah, so, but they just want confirmation from this board that, yes, we are still interested in moving forth on their property. And then we would be okay to go with doing it on their property for a transfer fee of $1. basically.
And we're satisfied that water and sewer is available.
Yes, we can still deal with that. We can still make that all work there without an issue. The advantages to that parcel are that it is outside of town. It's away from residential.
Yeah.
We're not going to disturb people because we can be quite loud at 6 o'clock in the morning, especially during the summer if we're working down there building roads and dealing with.
So this is the one next to the tracks or away from the tracks?
This is the one away from it.
Okay.
This is the original
original.
parcel,
All right.
okay?
The township.
And they've already got the clearance from the state to do the forestry reverter, so we're good there.
That was
The only
state.
thing, yeah, the only thing we would need is an okay, yes, the board wants to pursue that, they will take it, and they will make the agreement, and we'll move forward right after their meeting to get this all taken care of. And then we can start. We also have contracts now in place that we are ready to review here, that our attorney has reviewed to go with Grand Traverse Construction. So we're gonna be looking at those, to deal with those for the actual design build / build of the property. So we are ready to move forward, I guess, as soon as we get an okay from this board that, yes, you want us to pursue that. The disadvantage to this parcel is only the fact that it is coming out onto M113 there where it's a little quick. I mean, it is, but it's right across from another entrance, and so we feel pretty comfortable. There's a good enough sight distance, especially with our trucks being as high as they are.
We have a center turn lane there.
Yes. There is.
So,
There is one there.
the only advantage that we found really for the property within the city is the fact that it's a little closer to the utilities. But it's not a substantial bit closer, and we would have to definitely be dealing with pressure relief there because it's too high of a pressure.
Is there even any notion that, I mean, it was suggested to us that we could maybe buy that, but nobody from the school ever
I have
said.
not had a chance to talk to the superintendent.
Bird in the hand.
So we really have no idea that we could even buy the other property from the school.
Right.
Yeah, there's nothing. to
So
say
you need a motion?
And actually,
Yes,
the-
that's what he had. If we can just have a motion, that yes, we are.
I would
interested in
move that we approve or go forward with, authorize the management to go forward with negotiating for the property for
In
July.
July.
yeah,
for the dollar consideration.
In July, yes.
yeah, because it was on, I was at Paradise Township meeting last month, and it was on their agenda, but they didn't discuss anything about it, period, nothing, they just passed it over.
Isn't that comfortable? All that delay for.
No,
Well, they got their attorney's opinion back, and they just didn't discuss it then at that point.
Yeah, there was no discussion at all.
So, but apparently they talked a lot about Kingsville.
Quite a bit, yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Sound like a fun meeting.
It was.
I made that motion.
Okay, we have
It was a good one.
Jason and Joe to second that motion. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I guess, since that type of thing, we probably ought to do a roll call and property purchase.
Underwood,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Gilman.
Yep.
Lehman,
Yes.
Mauser.
Yes. Well, okay,
Since you were there.
Kingsley Road.
I was there and.
And it
was-
went long from what I understand.
It did. I was actually gonna go to Union Township, but that wasn't in the cards. I couldn't make it in time. They want something done with Kingsville. And basically they would settle for something done from the railroad tracks to Sparling. There's quite a few people that live in that next, whatever it is, a half a mile or whatever. And I know those people would like that upgraded too. The township had paid for the study, but it was actually full-blown engineering, basically, is what it was.
It was supposed to be, but it was not complete.
Well, it was not completed. No, I know that, but it was KTM, or is that KTM? KPM. Did some design and stuff there and was actually stopped in progress is the way I interpreted what happened. They were told to stop apparently by the township. I'm gonna assume that they wanted us to stop because it was out of the realm of what they could afford. I believe township dollars, according to what they said the other night, we're still out of that realm. They don't have the money to do this project. So there was some discussion on SADs. And there's Teakwood, and then there's another road there. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head there. And then there's King Arthur's Court that's in there, but there's another one, Teakwood, and another one to the east there, that there's quite a few people that live down in the subdivision type things. But they're not really on the road. So I'm not quite sure on an SAD if they would be, if they participate on their own, I'm not sure they could be forced to participate. So
That depends on which attorney you want to listen to at which given time. Some places have done these special assessment districts where they have assessed entire subdivisions for things. I'm guessing it's because the subdivision wanted it done and therefore they agreed.
they agreed to join in. But if you're not directly on it, that's what I'm saying to these
Yeah.
people. I don't know. You're gonna have to, so
We ran into something similar, was it Oak Terrace?
yes.
Where there's about a dozen houses on Oak Terrace, but there's about 50 or 75 back in this condominium over here, and then there's this senior.
There were some apartments up there.
Up here,
And
then there's.
and they were not
50
part of the
vacant houses,
SAD,
And they weren't,
But they're using it, they
But they're-
benefit.
yeah,
but they weren't in the SAD.
but I think there was some provision made where the people in the condominium at least did. I don't think just the homeowners there had to pick it up. I thought there was.
You're talking about they want to pave this road.
They would like to pave the road. I think they would settle for, maybe upgrading the gravel, but it would not take care of the problem because of the dust. That's one of their big things, the dust and the chatter. And the township is, they do, I think, 2 applications a year, but now because of us having to go with a higher dollar one, I'm not even sure they want to do the second application, the township. So there's a lot of issues going on out there, and what's the best fix? I
hate to be cold, but
Jason, don't lie, just say it, Jason.
You don't hate it.
It's, you chose to live there.
They developed
It was
there and
there.
they moved there.
That's correct. And
It was a dirt road when you moved in.
correct. I can understand they're wanting things better. I understand that. But, it all falls back to where's the money coming from?
And that is a significant issue. Because it's not a cheap fix. It's a very costly fix. The township doesn't have the money to put into it. And plain and simple, it is a pretty major thoroughfare when school is in session especially. So there are a lot of people. So what happens is.
At the northern section of it though, I mean.
Well, no, because if the road is graded and it's in good shape, people will come in off the south end, and I don't remember, I'm sorry. Bowerman Road, and they'll zing on up there to Kingsley, and they'll fly right up there to this school, and they're good. Now, if it's not so good, they'll drive up through town, and they'll come down Kingsley Road from the north. So, some of the people out there they do call us fairly regularly. It does get dusty, especially when you're putting that many people on it. But the issue is if they want to keep traffic volumes low and they don't want people flying through there, because there's a lot of people that call and say, well, we don't really want it fixed perfectly because then everyone's gonna be flying through here.
And
So,
pavement draws cars.
Yes, it does, like Center Road.
Pavement draws cars.
So it's kind of an ugly issue right now, but it's not ours, but there are people that are going to be calling you as commissioners now with this, after these things are moving forward. And I think they're gonna have enough public comment in the next meeting even about this topic. So they're gonna start calling to talk to you as commissioners to say, hey, what can you do to make this?
Well, I talked to them, the couple that were spearheading the thing, and I says, the solution that you have here is an SAD. If you could make an SAD go, because the township isn't gonna kick in a whole lot of money. And we're gonna follow our same parameters. We're not gonna go in there and redo this. We can't spend Act 51 dollars to go in there and do a total reconstruct on this thing. That's not in the cards for us either. So it's an SAD, or the township gets on with the gravel road program and some of the residents participate in that. That's the way I laid it out to them. That's their options. Because like you said, the township's not gonna.
They don't have that kind of money.
Does it
kind of money.
change does it change the Act 51 funding for it? Does it move it into any other category? So it's still just that road.
Still a local
It's
road.
Yeah.
Local road, right?
And you're getting back to traffic counts too. It's, how much do you put in there? What is the total traffic count there?
Other than
Just-
that, point of time during the spring and summer, when school is in session and into the fall, it's not that. There's not much traffic down there when school's not in session. The problem is when people have their windows open and they're trying to get fresh air and there's all these vehicles coming into school at the beginning of the day and then coming out of the school, that's when they have the real issues.
So like I said, I did talk to the couple gals that were spearheading that, and really that was the options that I laid out to them. That could happen.
Reasonable to expect some outcome.
Exactly. You had those
I wish no.
those two things. And then the other question that they had, and other than, I told them maybe to call in here, they were talking about additional brinings, if residents could pay for additional brinings or whatever. Because the township's not going to, because they were squawking at the price of the first one because we had to use the higher price stuff.
And we're still working on figuring out some kind of cost sharing thing for
Yeah,
those
and
types of roads anyway.
It's gonna be another, certainly won't be anytime real soon. But
Well, we upped our percentage here just a couple years ago that we participate on that.
Well, a little offset too, but a lot of these townships are getting some of this COVID money from the feds for infrastructure. I wonder if any of these townships looked at that as far as maybe earmarking that for a couple of road projects. And it depends on the size of the township, how much they're getting, but some are getting many hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I don't think you can use it on roads.
Can't use it on roads?
Anything but infrastructure.
You can use it on water and sewer for infrastructure, but there was no roads even on the latest update. Believe me.
That's what we believe.
I'd love to use it on some of that stuff.
The people in the township, local township villages.
Yeah, I mean.
Where my commercial property is in Betsy County, there's the county has a village similar to ours.
Yeah.
And the township has a mill.
Clearwater Township in, has that.
Right.
Well, it's expensive. You think that is a county.
And Jackson County has all but 3 of their townships have local millages. And the county's millage pays for all majors. And the local millages for the townships pays for all the local work they want to do.
Right.
But it's.
I really dislike millages for road.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's my own personal thing.
They vote on it.
And I know.
Just as we're talking about Kingsley Road, I had a question about how's our dust. Jay's not here, I see he's on the Zoom, but we have this new dust control guy and he's a lot more expensive and the manager gets all the complaints. You said it was one of the things that you get the most of.
And
how's our new dust control
The
working out?
townships that chose the first option, the new product, have not heard a single word since it's been brined. However, the other townships that took the cheaper option haven't been brined yet, so they're calling repeatedly about the fact that it's still dusty. Well, we're supposed to be getting started with them in the next few days. They're gonna be here, they're gonna brine those townships with the lower cost
process.
Yes, and it's for the townships, like Whitewater is one that chose it simply because they have so many miles of gravel roads. Grant chose it, I believe, the cheaper one because they just don't have the money. So I mean, there's 2 options. So the new one seems to be working quite well. I'm not sure. We'll see, you know, as we collect more information throughout the year, we'll really know even more. But we've seen pretty good results so far. Just more expensive.
Okay, so I guess they already know what the possibilities are. I mean, Carl's outlined what the reality is, unless somebody has got some suggestion of some additional realities, I guess that's where it lays. So Carl, you're real, baby.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
I don't know where he lives. Keep sending Carl over there.
Jay, Vance Road seasonal.
Okay. The section of Vance Road, which is seasonal, which coming off of 37, it ends right at the top of the hill and it goes down a steep hill there. And it goes out to Hoosier Valley. Sorry, could not remember that. Sorry about that. So that's seasonal. Now at the bottom of the hill, the DNR came through at one point years and years ago, and they paved over the creek and the culverts that are there, but nothing else has been paved in that area. The problem we're having is it's so steep. Even when we pave it, we have people coming in there. They're flying through there. You got kids going down there in certain areas doing donuts, tearing it all up. So in order to improve this road, being that it is a seasonal, we have an opportunity here to do some improvements to this road using category E funds, which are funds that are dedicated for the forestry industry. They are going to be logging back there. So this road falls into a forestry valid expenditure of category E funds. So it's our intention at this point to widen the road and improve the road, get rid of some of these real steep banks, and try and get it something that's going to be able to handle the traffic. And then Blair Township is willing to come in then and talk to us about paving that section of road, at which point then we could then take it off the seasonal list and make it a full-time road. And as it is now, over this past winter, since it was such a mild winter, we had buses driving through there all winter long, UPS driving through there all winter long, and people just in general driving through there all winter long. So it is a higher volume, and it is our intention that we would be able to spend this category E funds, which has to be spent on forestry associated roads, to improve that at the same time as it's improving it, helping it for the people that are doing the forestry.
The traffic 25 years ago, there was nobody back there.
No, that's exactly it.
It's subdivisions upon subdivisions.
Are there any other areas that we could spend this E-money on?
We've been typically been just doing gravel resurfacing, touching up
Okay,
here,
so we're not-
spots here and
We're
there.
not pulling that away from something else.
No, I mean, this is kind of the intent of those funds, is to make bigger improvements.
How much is this gonna cost, Bradley, you think?
Well, we're thinking, you know, we do it over the course of 2 years, and what did you say, how much do
We
we
get
get?
$49,000 a year, category.
So we do 49 this year and 49 next year to get the trees removed, it banked back, so that it's not got the rushing water going down it, which is a big part of the problem right now.
But Blair is kind of semi-committing to pay,
Yeah, they're-
actually paying to pay it.
They're willing to then talk to us and say, okay, here, this is something we can sit down now and pave. And it's going to be dependent upon when they can save the money up to afford it. They have 2 other roads that they need to get done by us too, that they're gonna be talking to us about for next year. So, but it is something that they would definitely be interested in paving right after we're done in 2 years.
Right, so this E-money would take care of the preliminaries, the drainage and all that.
Yeah, and it would all be,
When they say they're gonna pave, they're gonna have to then only pay basically paving because
right,
it's in a condition that would accept paving would be functional.
precisely.
Need a motion for that?
No, it's just another informational thing for you.
Fantastic.
Unless you guys have an objection to it, it just seemed appropriate for us to use.
No, I gotta give the Blair folks some credit though, for stepping up and actually kind of, because it's not just this, I mean, even though I disagreed because of the way brownfield monies were being used, I mean, they're proactively, you know, improving their infrastructure and planning for, basically the growth that they're experiencing, so.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it sounds like all in all, it's a win-win. I mean, the money's there, can't be used for anything else. It's your process, and then
We haven't had anybody else come forward with something else that they're chomping at the bit to do.
No, this is our main forestry project, forestry road out there right now. That's the biggest one that's coming along anyway for harvesting off of the DNR land that's back there. So,
nice job. Okay, I guess that was an easy one.
Yep.
Then I guess.
Okay.
Okay, that's right, we got the blue sheet.
that's you, Wayne.
Hey, this is the fun one, safe routes to schools.
So we're just looking for a board support for East Bay Township Safe Route to Schools. They're planning on that. They're met with them several times, discussing their future proposals and locations of providing trails to and from communities to the schools. We're working with them also toward, what the potential crossings would look like at the intersection of Hammond and 3 Mile in the event that we wind up developing a roundabout there. So they've got good plans. They're looking hard at that. Looking at potentially several locations, mid-block crossings as well, that would involve utilization of rapid flashing beacons out there. So with that, I think it's a very worthy project that they're undertaking, and over the course of the next couple of years, and trying to improve both the walkability for the school students as well as the community.
Any comments?
Okay, first of all, if they do this and they want to actually have crossings at 3 Mile and Hammond, no on a roundabout, period. It'd be an absolute waste of money to throw a roundabout in if you're gonna stop traffic for the ducklings crossing the street in the first, it just doesn't make any sense. And the roundabout, we're still determining whether a roundabout fits there. But the fact is, if, and Brad had mentioned, we discussed this previously, that maybe the discussion was that the crossings would be a little further back from the intersection. Well, you're still stopping traffic. The whole point of the roundabout is to keep traffic moving. We might as well have red lights, not spend $1.5 million or $2 million at that corner probably, building a roundabout. It just wouldn't make any sense. So I support the resolution wholeheartedly, but I think at 3 Mile, a roundabout is going to be out of the question. That's for me. That's kind of where I'm at.
Anybody else? Yeah, it does seem counterintuitive that, roundabouts keep traffic flowing, but then you start to direct heavy pedestrian flow to that same area. And it seems like it was a year or two ago, we saw a study where it said that one of the things that they were coming up with is once pedestrian load reached a certain point at a roundabout, they were going to put in buttons and lights.
Just what you were talking about.
So I guess, this is real, this is here, this is now, I guess that's in the future, and in the presence of those pedestrians, that crossing, I guess could very well impact on our decision at 3 Mile and Hammond, whether it gets roundabout or not.
I hope they're not under the illusion it's going to lessen the vehicles going in and out of that school.
Yeah, no, I don't know, because I don't know how many junior high kids are driving to school.
Well, but they still might pick them up, drive them on.
They do.
So I'll make a motion to support resolution 2021-0606.
Okay, do we have support for that? Anybody? Okay, I'll support it.
There you go.
Put me on the spot. That was just revenge for what I said before the meeting.
I will say this though, the only thing in the resolution, I still have no problem supporting it actually, but the dedicated providing a safe and efficient road, bridge, and non-motorized transportation network, period. that's where we'd end it instead of, oh, excuse me, bridge, and then cross out non-motorized transportation, but honestly, it's all feel good, you know, we can smile when we send it to them and they can take it and use it in their grant application and if they get it, good on them.
Okay, a roll call if you please.
Brown,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yep.
Lehman,
Yes.
Underwood,
Sure.
Louder.
Yes. 4.5. I don't know, maybe 3 and 7 Yeah, thank you. Item L.
Okay. Jay has the bids that came in for work that MDOT has talked to us about. There is a memorandum here, as with all maintenance projects done through MDOT, this is a complete pass-through. It's just to give us the authority to write the check, bill MDOT, MDOT then writes us a check for the cost that we submit to them.
Do we get a bookkeeping fee for it or anything?
We have,
Okay. Oh, good. I just,
Yeah.
that was my only
yeah,
question.
that it covers us for everything we do. And anytime we're sending people out there that are non-admin folks that are gonna be inspecting or whatever, they get their time charged to it also.
Well, I would make the motion that we approve the 3 pass-through expenses and for the M72 drainage improvement, the M72 curb and spillway, and the US 31 culvert replacement.
So, okay, so we have motion in support.
So Carl, you supported?
Carl supported. And I guess any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call.
Gilman?
Yep.
Lehman?
Yes.
Underwood?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Louder.
Yes. All right. That's it for the blue sheet. I guess that does finally then take us to item 7, informational items. A, manager's comment.
Okay, there's a few of them here, so sorry, but I'll make them as quick as I can. Please don't forget, if you are interested in attending the meeting or watching the meeting online for the East-West, it is July 14th. We're gonna start at 2 o'clock. We'll go as late as 4:30 if we need to, but it shouldn't take that long. So please don't forget, if you're interested in that, I can have a memo sent out or a.
So this is all in person, right?
Yes, this is in person. We're gonna broadcast it, but we're gonna be all there. Everybody's gonna be in
Stuff
person.
is
Boards, yeah, there'll be,
Comments in person.
yes, there'll be poster boards up for it and everything so that we can see show them some of the ideas and everything that we have so far, as well as trying to collect comments from people while we're there.
that works Northwest there in Garfield.
Yes, they are on Garfield, just north of the airport, right next to the Michigan Works office. So,
Use that room before on first base.
okay. Little quick update for you. Field Ops is moving exceptionally quickly on the ditching. And they are looking to be done with the ditching of the 2 townships that they thought were gonna take most of the summer. They are looking to be done with those sometime next month, and they are gonna move into a 3rd township to continue ditching and brush removal. So far, we haven't had many complaints. We have not got into subdivisions yet. These are all mainline ditches. When we come around and we make it through all of the long line ditching, we're going to then have to sit down and just have a bigger discussion on how we're going to approach ditching. Because then you're talking about what people perceive to be their front yard, even though it is the right of way. So that is something that we are probably still another 4 years of mainline ditching after this year. So it's 5 years away. We got time to sit down and start saying, okay, this is how we're gonna communicate to people and this is the type of things we're gonna address. But for now, they're going great. They're removing the ditch lines. They're jetting out the culverts. The jetter we got last year for trade of services is working exceptionally well. So they're really flying along much faster than they thought. And the mini excavator has been out every day since it got here. So that's a good thing too. We're definitely putting in the time. The mini loader just got here a couple days ago and it's been out and they're loving that too. It works very well for these tight squeeze places.
I got the sense yesterday at the employee meeting that they're happy with new equipment and things that work, so.
Yes, definitely.
Always in their toy.
Yeah.
Yes, and now, while we did discuss the Silver Lake culvert, because it is a big culvert, we also have another culvert that failed on Hughes Drive, right next to the Record Eagle building. It is something that can be done in-house, so we will be taking care of it, but it is yet another culvert that has corroded out because it was put in metal in a otherwise swamp. So we will be able to take care of that though in-house with our crews. Everything should be fine and we will get that taken care of. We are going to be resuming our meetings on the cost sharing for road projects. So I am going to be off the week of July 2nd all the way for 2 weeks up to the 19th. So I'd like to have a meeting with you two if we could next week towards maybe Thursday, if that works for you guys. But we are going to continue moving forward. We've got some pretty good ideas of how to deal with different types of roads and classification of our local road system, breaking it out into differences between a road that gets through traffic versus a road that is simply serving a subdivision. So we are ready to continue moving forward with those. We had a malfunction with the new stacker, which did cause some damage to it. It has been fixed and it should be here next week. But we are going to have it and we are going to begin using it to produce our own sand out at the Shell Road gravel pit. We have built a road around there with our in-house forces and it is pretty impressive. And if anybody wants to see what we can do with people who really know how to use the equipment,
Yeah, I want to check.
it's definitely amazing what they were able to do and how quick they were able to do it for people that don't have a lot of normally, a crew that doesn't normally do that thing.
Was the malfunction, was it a material defect or?
No, we had a load on it and the belt stopped, and rather than shoveling out all the material, which we didn't apparently know that they had to do, they took one of the pins out to try and set it down to a lower elevation, and it caused one section of the stacker to fold over on itself. So we had to put they had to put a new section of the track back in. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They understand now what they did wrong. It won't happen again. So
Nobody died.
yes, and it was, it's something. That stacker is working great though when it is here. Anybody noticed our sand pile, it's a lot higher than it ever has
It's
been.
pretty high
before.
pile.
So,
They use the drone on it too.
yes, we use the drone to get the volumes recorded, so that's another nice thing. I need to know from you guys, as far as what we're going to want to do as far as a review of attorneys and all the other consultants. We had talked about it last year and we said we wanted to do it this year to have a review of at least the attorneys. And we have the auditor extended for another couple of years per what you guys said.
I think the auditor will be coming up. I think that's the 5th audit, so.
Yeah, so we're gonna be needing to sit down and discuss, how you guys want to proceed as far as that is concerned. We'd like to have some information back from people, just feedback of what you want to see to do the review of these consultants that we hire. We'd like to try and get it set to either at the very latest August, but preferably the July meeting. So if you guys can, put together some thoughts of what you want to see from them and what you want to do, so we can produce some standard questions for them as they come in here for a review of their services that they provide to us.
Just for the record, you can give us a list of who they are and
Yes.
how long they've been performing each of their tasks, I guess.
Yes, we will have all this.
Particularly in the audit thing, I think it's good to have a fresh set of eyes, even if you've been served well, it's nice to have a fresh set of eyes every now and then, I think. So,
Yeah, we've talked about that before, and it seems to be sort of an industry standard that auditors aren't surprised when you shuffle them around every few years. It's kind of a, seems to be said anyway. I don't know. I did the auditor business, but that
Is
happens.
the county using the one we're using now? Okay, and that's what we always,
That's why we extended it
That-
2 years. I
that's-
think this was the second year extension.
stayed in sync with them because some of that stuff kind of overlapped or something.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah,
Probably save some fees.
yeah, save some fees, yeah.
So we will get some stuff, some information out to you for who they are and everything, but we'd like to get that back turned around fairly quick.
Maybe an idea what each of them is costing us each year or whatever, how, what the compensation level is. Are we talking, you know, a few thousand bucks?
For legal and audit.
Yeah, but, you know, we're talking, you know, is this a $1,000 decision or a $50,000 decision?
Okay.
And just for, if it's sway us or maybe give us an idea of how serious we need to look at it.
All right. Again, we did have our all-employee meeting. Thank you, Jason, for coming out. The crew does appreciate to meet you guys. And we will have another one coming up in August. And so that leaves 3 of you. And if it's possible, Carl, we'd like to get you next because you've also had some time. And then that'll give these 2 a little bit longer to get up to speed on everything else that's going on here. But if you're available, we're going to do it towards the end of August.
I would think probably.
Okay. Because they're definitely appreciate the information they get from this. And especially, you know, meeting the commissioners and recognizing a face with a name and everything else has been helpful. So, and again, like I said, I'm off the week of Cherry Festival, and the following week I will be here for the July 14th meeting with the East-West Corridor. I will be at that, but otherwise I will be in the area. If anybody needs to reach me, they can call me on my phone, but I will not be in the office. And that is it.
Okay, did we talk about that? You were talking about July 1st? Or,
If possible, yes.
sure, yeah, as long as it's, I mean, during the day, I guess, or in the afternoon, there's a regular Parks and Recs commission.
why don't you set a time and I'll make
July
it happen.
1st, can you do it in the morning?
I'm one of the most flexible people on.
July 1st in the morning?
I believe so.
We're good.
What day is it?
Thursday, July 1st.
Perfect.
What time did we decide?
Do it 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. What's better for you guys?
Early's always better for me.
Okay, you want to go earlier than 9? I mean, we're all here earlier, but
I don't know, that's up to you, if you,
No, I don't care.
8?
I could do an 8 o'clock, absolutely.
Everybody okay with 8? All right, we're good.
Does that mean I get to sleep in and then just show up at 8? Half the day's already gone?
Yes. All right.
Plug that in here in a minute. And there's kind of, we got commissioners' comments, questions, future agenda items, and I don't know, let's go this way. I'm all set.
I had a couple of questions for Wayne. I think Wayne probably can answer them. Status on the 3 bridges.
The West River Road Bridge is done. We are now working on the East River Road Bridge. Half of the Borden River Bridge, Garfield, over the Borden River is done. We're working on the other half, or they will be getting back to that here fairly soon. So
The railing looks much better on that one than it did prior to.
yes,
It was very nice, very nice. And the next question, because I see they've been out there paving, Walton Road.
Walton Road, all the base was completed the other day at the beginning of the week. Driveways have been being addressed and no real work was going on today with the rain.
Sure. What completion?
We have
Approximately.
completion, I believe, under the proposal was the end of the month, but they are ahead of schedule.
Okay, very good. Very good. I'm good.
Yeah, I guess while we're on timetable things, okay, so we've got Hammond, I mean, are we having any problems with traffic, people going around? 911 had something out the other day.
Well, tonight on the way in, I
Yeah.
heard the same thing.
Yeah,
Well, anytime we do a traffic shift today was like the beginning of a new day, a new traffic pattern. Because we shifted traffic from the north side, they were working on the north side with traffic as they completed the utility install on the south side. So this morning, now we're shifting traffic over to the south side and across some temporary pavement and starting to take out the north side. And so you have traffic shifts again. So now the north leg of the intersection of Hammond and 4 Mile is inaccessible. So that surprised a number of people. We've been working diligently and trying to get the word out there in our news blast and on Facebook, radio, getting it out there, but not everyone necessarily hears that, I mean, we're
They all
trying
pay
to get
attention to
that.
those signs.
right.
Yeah, sure they do. As they go zooming right on by.
Right. As I was standing out there, some people are just really, really determined. So as I was out there this afternoon, had one vehicle completely go eastbound all the way through. And anytime westbound traffic was coming, they basically drove down in the ditch, waited for another gap and drove back up and kept working their way east. So, so some will do just what they're gonna do.
Well, again, remember Lafreniere Road, where they were putting in the sewer and they had the sewer box about halfway down the slope and somebody decided they were gonna drive past the 4 barricades and around the 2 excavators and the dozer and wound up down in the sewer box.
Right.
They were still there the next morning.
Still
Vehicle
there.
was anyway.
Right. So now the south leg of 4 Mile Road is open. There's gravel that they have to have, but or drive through, but it is open there. So now this traffic pattern will stay in effect for approximately the next month. So that will give plenty of opportunity for people to kind of get used to it and no future changes. We were kind of kicking around today. It's like, granted, I'm no English major, but we try to be clear and instead of being brief necessarily, we're going to really try to spell this out and perhaps on the next or prior to the next shift, maybe working with Larry and maybe we can generate a picture map or something to help illustrate what is available and what traffic and how they can kind of go through there. So, but this phase here, 1B, westbound traffic still going. The south leg of 4 Mile is open. We do have closed the Crystal Ridge. That is closed to through traffic. It is open now. As we go through it, there's going to be some utility work there. So that will get closed at different times. And then also up into the Water Ridge condominium there on the east side, that is currently closed off as well. So, so people cheating and driving through those local private roads, some were upset today because they could not get through there. Sorry about that, but that is what it is. Like I say, this is going to go on for a month, but this is going to, as they build up this north side half, they'll build it all the way up to top course, and then they'll shift over to the south side. So.
Hold on.
I have 2 things. Are we brining the gravel in the area where the road has been gravelled?
In the construction zone?
Yeah.
We haven't been grinding it. We could talk, if that little piece gets too dusty, the contractor will water it.
Then with the, my no vote on the consultant, there wasn't anything against you, Wayne, or OHM, because I'm sure they're fine guys, but are we recruiting another engineer?
It's hard.
We're evaluating the whole part.
It seems like the workload is not gonna go down in this county.
Probably not. And we had already started talking about the need for another person as an inspector at least too. So we are definitely evaluating what needs to happen because we can't keep up right now.
We just have a lot of needs for different projects and different money. And it would be better if we had an idea on the cost of these people instead of paying retail rate and profit to the consultants. And I don't mind the consultants, they're fine. They're in business, they need to make money. But for something that we need regularly, I would like us to, my opinion is we need to be staffed for it.
They're good for the peaks, but we're.
Yeah, they're a little bit of peak there, but it doesn't look like any, I don't see anybody saying, oh, we're gonna do a lot less. They're just next year, we're just not gonna do anything around here.
Well, and part of it, obviously this is something that was sprung on us. We did not expect him to leave. He had some personal issues that he had to deal with. So it is, unfortunately, it happens in the middle of the summer, when we're in the midst of our busiest season. So, but we are looking definitely, we've got postings out right now. So.
Thank you, that's all.
I've got a couple things, I guess. This Crossroads magazine, it's pretty cool. I think we all get one. In the back here, I don't know, you
Not a
guys
python.
get it, look at it? Well, just a minute. Here's one where Muskegon County Road Commission, they basically bootlegged this contraption on their grader for doing gravel shoulders. And it looks like a pretty cool deal. I think we ought to show this to, the guys out back and maybe, we can imitate this.
See if we have a guy.
No, we do.
We used to have one and we were not, they had issues with it.
Yeah. Well, this was something that they made. I mean, they put together, they found a chunk of this and a chunk of that and kind of put it together, but. Yeah.
We had a mini grader that we used to use for shoulders that did effectively what you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, they put a rubber blade on the bottom and then this shoe on the end to kind of pull the gravel back and form it. So anyway, I guess if need to pay attention, look at these, maybe there's something really cool. And now, I know Carl's just being a little snarky.
Send him to a trade show, can't we?
But there is an advertisement back in here for a device. Now it's not called the Python. It's made by a different manufacturer. It just seems to me, and I don't want to beat this dead horse, but it seems like
Then let him go.
pothole patching. We're doing it like we did it probably back in the 1900s. Maybe there's some new emulsions and some new products and some new ways, but I just want to make sure, and I'm not promoting that we buy a particular piece of equipment, but that we have our eyes open and be constantly striving for improvements. And if something like this does a better job and is out there, that we're kind of on top of it, I guess, and look at it. This is something else that, and maybe, we see if somebody would send one up and we could try it out sometime.
We tried right before COVID to get the company that does that to come up. And obviously then COVID happened, but we're always looking.
Yeah, I mean, things have happened. They tried, somebody came in and did that infrared thing for us for free one time, and it apparently didn't work because it never came up again. And one patch of road I know that was done with it didn't seem to be overly impressive, but just
We're all
striving for, lead follower, get out of the way. Maybe this is where we need to lead, The plaque the commemorative plaque on that second bridge on River Road, have we located that? somebody actually physically have their hands on it if we let the family know that it's available or will be soon?
We talked to our inspector about that and they talked to the contractor and, now that we're out there, yeah, we'll make sure we follow up and get that.
We kind of told him that the first bridge was either wasn't there or we lost track or we didn't do it.
It
Made
was already gone. Yeah.
some empty apology of we didn't know. But that we would make sure that the second one was found for them and be returned to them. And I guess on Bluff Road, we got the preliminary engineering report on the borings. Do we have any idea when we're gonna get
Came
there?
in today.
Oh, excellent.
So,
Timing.
yes, and we started review today, but it's, we want to make sure that we understand that we're going to be talking to them, so we will have more information. Then I'll send out a blurb as to basically what it really means to all of you probably.
Yeah, or
first part of
anything
next
any different than what the preliminary did other than, and then at some point, I guess, can we put some red meat on this budget so that we can placate the others that our numbers we're spewing are not fallacious at all, but that they have some validity.
It's what I've been told by more than one engineering firm, so.
So the negative naysayers may be just saying stuff. Okay.
All I can tell you is what the engineering firms both told me, and they both said, wow, that's gonna be big.
Yeah. No doubt.
That's great.
Cool. Okay. Any other comments or whatever? Like I said, take us to our second public comment.
The only thing I have to say is you're on the brining process, because we looked at both, and the board decided that since the first one was new, that we'd wait a year to see how it lasted, and because there was just no history on it. But I know that our residents are not happy.
Yeah.
That we took the second one because it put it towards the end of June.
Yeah, well, and that's something that was an unfortunate side effect of Beckman no longer bidding on our work.
Because we're not the only county.
Yeah, they are not spreading brine anywhere right now. They're doing bulk hauling still, but they are not applying brine. And so it is what it is.
So they will wholesale it to somebody? And then somebody else apply it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, they are hauling it to different contractors, and I would imagine that's probably how this contractor that is going to be doing the 3 townships that chose the second option. They're probably hauling the material up for them and then going from there.
No, we can just do the best we can do with it. That brings us to item 9.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
Who seconded? You first. Who supported?
Yeah, he did.
It's always Jason first, we know that.
Yeah, you don't ever have to guess.